Good morning, and thank you, Alara, for that. I was going to bring that up. What is Advent? Mm. First of all, I want to say that I'm very honored and thankful that I get to speak about this topic. I'm first of all grateful to our president, Lou Karyata. She's the one who first started saying, we never make much of Advent. I think we should really take a deep dive into looking at what Advent is all about. And she launched the Advent Chats. And that got me thinking that honestly, I don't really know much about Advent at all. I don't know what it is, what it means, what it's about, and yeah, why? Why do we even have this thing anymore? That sounds like something from ancient days gone by. And not only was I excited about that, so excited that I said, oh, well, let me do a talk on the subject because I don't know anything about it. And the best way to learn about something is to have to talk about it. So there began the deep dive into what is Advent. And as Bob said last week, Advent is those 4 weeks before Christmas, which a lot of people see as that time to decorate, bake, go shopping, wrap presents, get all ready for the big day, the big dinner. And yes, and for Christians, it's about waiting for the 25th of December, the birth of Christ, to celebrate. And for those that are a little less dedicated, it's all about the big dinner and the presents. But at Unity, it's more than all of that. I mean, yes, that's all part of it, and there's nothing wrong with any of those things. That's excitement and celebration of life and celebration of what can be. But it's more. There's a deeper translation of what even Christmas means in the Unity tradition, and that's what our metaphysical Christmas candle lighting ceremony is about. It's about taking a look at the metaphysical, the metaphorical representations of all those things, the manger, the wise man of Christ himself. And if you've never been part of our metaphysical candle lighting ceremony, I invite you to come. It is an absolutely beautiful ceremony. It's very touching. It brings tears to people's eyes because it's just so beautiful. And it offers you a glimpse into a deeper meaning of what Christ, Christmas, and all of this means in our life today. And so just as we at Unity see Christmas as more than a day to celebrate the birth of an external Christ, we also see Advent as more than a 4-week countdown to December 25th. It's a time of preparing yourself, your mind and your heart, for a deeper spiritual awareness and awakening. It's time for acknowledging, as our Unity founders, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, would tell us, that we don't have to become anything new. We don't have to become anything different. We simply have to unveil the truth of what is, and that is that the Christ consciousness is already here within each and every one of us. All well and good. But exactly what does that mean? We talk about the Christ consciousness pretty loosely at Unity. But for people who are coming into this movement for the first time, well, what do you mean by Christ consciousness? That's a good question. Let's start with consciousness. What is consciousness? It's awareness. Very simply, it's awareness. So Christ consciousness is awareness of that Christ-like energy that resides within each and every one of us. And what is that Christ-like energy? Well, it is that love and peace that we sang about. It is the wisdom. It is the acknowledgement of unity, of that oneness of existence. It's an acknowledgement that I am divine and you are divine and you are and you are and you are and you are. That we are all created from that divine love light energy. It's everywhere in everything and in us. And Advent is the time to come into full recognition and acknowledgement of that. Myrtle Fillmore would say, every soul carries this inner light. And Charles might say, the Christ is the God self in you, the true spiritual idea of who you are. And who is the true spiritual idea of who you are? That's what Advent gives you the time to find out. It's a time that gifts us with time to really go within. Each of the 4 weeks of Advent has a different theme that can take us into a deeper examination, a deeper self-contemplation, if we will. I'll look at that Christ consciousness as the divine spark within every person, that ever-present, although sometimes hidden under cranky pants. It was so hidden this morning, when we were running around trying to get the tree set up and the extension cord wasn't big enough and we didn't have enough plugs and, now we can't see the Advent candles and rearrange. And we got farther and farther away from remembering that grace consciousness. Oh, the peace, the love, the understanding that everything is as it's meant to be and it's all going to work out okay. The faith, the hope and faith that is this first week of Advent that we just celebrated, the trust that everything is going to be all right, just the way it is. But our ego gets in the way. Edging God out is how I heard somebody describe ego. So Advent gives us the time to step away a little bit from that ego and come back into this. What's neat about it is that the Fillmores would speak of this Christ consciousness as this divine spark, that ever-present life, love, wisdom, and wholeness, waiting to be recognized, affirmed, and lived. And there it is. There's our 5th principle in unity. I act. It's not enough to know these words, but we want to bring them into our life. We're going to talk a little bit about that today. Advent is the time where we really get to focus on that awareness of that light and about unveiling the ways that we can live that Christ consciousness, not just become aware of it within us, but actually live it. And every week of Advent, as I mentioned earlier, offers a different theme that focuses your pondering, your inner search. Meditation, prayer, and affirmation offer time to contemplate ways to share your deepest gifts and the gifts of faith, hope, joy, peace, and love. As we shared last week, the first week of Advent is a focus on the theme of hope and faith, which is about cultivating an inner sense of optimism and possibility. With hope lighting our way and faith strengthening each step, we move forward with gratitude, confidence, and an open heart. You could easily share a gift of hope simply by offering someone words of encouragement or a prayer. Even smiling at someone can offer them hope in a glum time. So last week, we invited this flame of faith and hope in the hopes that it would remind you to carry that into the week. And now I have a concrete gift as a way. If you didn't get a chance to do that last week, you could still do it this week. Share the gift of hope and faith with someone. Give them the assurance that everything's going to work out. It's okay. That's faith. This week, the theme is peace, as was our daily word, peace. That's about finding our inner stillness. Is it about finding it? About remembering it. Okay. This week is about creating a peaceful mindset and letting go of any inner conflict so that we can really create a space for the divine present that grows inside of us. So right now, let's light the candle of peace on our Advent calendar. I take the candle of peace, and as I light it from the Christ candle, we could affirm together. There should be an affirmation there. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. I am at peace, no matter where I am. And this is the affirmation we can carry into our week, reinforcing the idea of cultivating inner peace as this unshakable state, regardless of what's going on around us. And by doing so, we ripple peace into the world around us. I invite you to truly focus on the peace of the higher power, God, universe, Great Spirit, whatever name you use, and feel it within you. Feel it expand. This is a way of expressing divine light, simply feeling that peace, because that peace ripples out into the world and that makes an impact. So this is how we can carry the gift of peace into the world, by being that peace that we want to see in the world. Another lovely way might be to express a moment of quiet or a peaceful space for someone to reflect in. Help someone else find peace by giving them that, holding that space for them, basically, is what I'm saying. Next week, the theme will be love, the ultimate expression of divine presence. The third week will be about letting that unconditional love flow through you and out to others. And for that week, you might offer a gift of genuine compassion or forgiveness, something that helps someone feel truly loved and seen. The fourth week of Advent is about joy, the natural state of our soul. You'll be invited to tap into your inner joy rather than looking for it in external circumstances. The gift of joy could simply be sharing a smile, or maybe a little act of kindness, a shared moment of laughter to lift someone's spirit. So these are the 4 themes of Advent. I have more than that. It's only 11:15. Okay, so having examined these 4 Advent themes, let's look at the theme for this month, which is life. Here it is, the affirmation: I am filled with life, sweet life. Charles Fillmore identified life as one of the 12 spiritual powers that we express. The power of life is our vitality, our aliveness, our spiritual energy, our ability to energize and animate. I still think about Katie's talk, and she spoke about the power of life and how animated and energized and, zeal. It was the power of zeal, which brings us, that animates life, right? As we move through the Advent gifts of hope, faith, peace, love, and joy, we awaken and energize the power of life within us. And so now I'd invite us to embody the 4 themes and the power of life together with this set of call and response affirmations. So I'm going to say, the Christ light is alive in me, and invite you to share, the Christ light is alive in me. Hope and faith awaken in my heart. Faith awaken in my heart. Peace unfolds within me. Peace unfolds within me. Love expresses through me. Joy rises up from within. Joy rises up from within. And together we'll all say, I am filled with life, sweet life. Can I have 5 more minutes? Because lest we forget, we are human. And our humanness doesn't always act as Christ consciousness now, does it? Divine love may not always express through you. I know it sure as heck doesn't always express through me. Well, Katie thinks we should do this. I don't care. That was my reaction this morning. Whoa, that was not divine love expressing through me. Yeah. Lest we forget, sometimes I beat myself up when I'm less than the perfect expression of the divine. Do you ever do that? You catch yourself and go, oh my gosh, how could I do that? Blah, blah. Let's not forget. It's simply part of being human. It is the human experience. We just have to keep remembering, oh yes, there is a Christ consciousness within this human experience, and come back to it. I don't always feel peace unfold within me. Do you? Nope. We may not always feel that joy rise up from within, especially when the world hands us some lemons. And we weren't looking for lemonade, darn it. We were looking for a peach. There are days that we might feel like life is hopeless or like we have no faith. How many of you here were here for Janice and Kara's talk? Yeah, Janice talked about the faith she had and the prayer and what a difference it made. When she was dying, she lost her faith for a moment, and she felt ashamed about losing that faith. But she heard God tell her, it doesn't matter how many times you lose faith. It remembers how many times you remember me. And just come back. Choose again. It doesn't matter how many times you lose faith. Just choose God again. That made a big impact to me. How comforting to know that how many times we might fail to act in accordance with that Christ consciousness, that light love. It's still there within us. We can rejoice in knowing that we are free to choose after any moment of falling to pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and carry on in the spirit of loving action once again. To follow that fifth principle and act according to the laws and the principles of living a good life, which is simply to remember that God is everything and everywhere, and that I am created from that God energy. And I create my life with my thoughts, my words, my actions. And affirmative prayer helps to keep me on the path, and acting keeps it moving forward. Just because it's Advent doesn't mean we're going to be perfect in word, thought, and deed. But because it's Advent, it may bring us closer attention to our thoughts and our actions. And we may perhaps express lovingly a little more often as we're consciously aware. We can be reminded that Advent gives us the opportunity to focus on being the Christ consciousness and acting from that Christ consciousness. There is a slide that says, every time you act from a place of compassion, is there? Should be. Compassion, forgiveness, generosity, peace, and wise action, you are expressing Christ consciousness. Myrtle emphasized that love is the healing balm that awakens the Christ nature. When we act as if Christ is leading every step, you are trusting your own guidance, your spiritual intuition, and your divine order. You then can align yourself with that Christ consciousness. Have the faith that your true essence is divine love energy, and that you allow yourselves to shine, to give that gift to the world. Let's be grateful for this Advent season, this season of reminder and renewal of our inner world, our inner light. We give thanks for the themes of Advent that remind us that as we walk through the Advent season, we do so with open hearts and willing spirits. So one more time, let us affirm together, I am filled with life, sweet life. And so it is.